Hi, everyone, and welcome to our collective experiences. Today, we are joined by Mr. Gray. Mr. Gray is a lifelong experiencer. He's a college graduate with 2 mining degrees, and he also holds private gatherings with people who are interested in knowing more about the ET phenomena, helping them in their own awakening process. He's also the host and producer of the YouTube channel called Experiencer Interviews, and I was lucky enough to be on there interviewed by Mr. Gray, and it was lots of fun. A channel where he gets to interview various ET contactees from around the world. Mr. Gray has been an experiencer since the age of 3 years old. Once he started grade school, his experiences stopped but returned after finishing college. From ETs, UFOs, shadow beings, angelic experiences to psychic predictions, visions, and communications with the afterlife, he has been blessed with a chance to live out these experiences. Welcome to the show, and thanks for coming on.
Thanks, brother. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's really good to see you again. I was wondering if you could just start at the beginning and kind of lead me through your experiences.
Sure. Well, I'm 48 right now. So I grew up in a small town called Temagami, which is about 4.5 hours drive north of Toronto. So it's basically in the woods. I grew up living in a house which my dad rented outside of town by a trailer park, and so I grew up in the woods, basically a very calm place. So this was in the 70s, totally different time, and so I grew up. We had like a black and white TV, bunny ears, no cable whatsoever, 3 channels. I grew up on Gilligan's Island, G-Force, and whatnot, Scooby Doo, and so we didn't know much about ETs other than the family. We had a lot of ghost stories to share. All of my uncles, my grandmother, they had a whole bunch of paranormal stuff happen, which is some pretty cool stories. So again, nothing about ETs really. And so at the age of 2.5, 3, now I say 3 because I'm the firstborn and my brother was born 4 years after me. So this was at least a year prior. So I say 2.5, 3. I might have been in the crib at the time. Like my mom passed away, so she can't really answer if I was in the crib at the time. My dad, very down to earth type of guy, and he totally doesn't remember. Mm-hmm. So I remember telling my mom as a kid that there was people in my bedroom at night. So I remember myself looking in the dark, knowing they're there, totally freaked out, and I would sleep for years and years and years with my entire body like a plank tucked against the wall. I did not move the entire night because I knew they were there behind me, watching me. And sometimes I'd sleep in a fetal position. And I didn't know this was a thing, right? Until I woke up about the whole ET type of thing. But I really put this off as all my life until until the age of 40 as fear of the dark type thing. I was afraid of the window, the closet, underneath the bed, my door. Also, my mom told me that she'd freak out for a thing that she realized during the night. She'd wake up and I was beside her bed watching her sleep. Now, the thing that makes me wonder is, if I was in the crib at the time, how did I get out of that being so small? Mm-hmm. And I told this story to a MUFON researcher once, and he told me that sometimes when children are brought back from an abduction, they go see their folks sleep because that brings them comfort. And so I slept like that up until the age of 11, let's say. Eventually, it became more of a habit, because I felt secure sleeping against the wall, even as a young teen. So eventually I stopped doing that. And the reason why I say that is at the age of 11, when I stopped sleeping against the wall, an event happened. And I remember that my eyes are closed. I'm conscious. I know I'm on my back. But I feel that my legs are up at an angle, a 45-degree angle. Now, that's not normal, right?
No.
You don't sleep with your legs in the air. So in my head, I scream out, no. As soon as I do that, I feel my legs fall back to the bed with a thump. Now, was I being taken and brought back, or was it like an out of body type of thing? And me just falling back into my body, I have no idea. But I stopped sleeping against a wall during those years, roughly. Now, when this happened, we moved to another city. My dad, the company he worked for, went broke, and he was able to find work, but somewhere else. So I grew up having this sort of normal childhood. When my brother was born, I went to grade school. Everything stopped. So I totally forgot about my whole like thing with the with knowing that there's people in my bedroom. And so up until the age of 25-ish, when I finished with my second degree, so this was my first time being on my own. I moved out of town, and now this is where all the psychic stuff started to happen. So I go to bed, and I was a totally different person back then. I used to I'm super skinny now, but I used to be a bodybuilder. And I go to bed, and I'm just looking at the bedroom closet, and the air starts to heat up or bubble in front of me, like heat rising from hot pavement. But I'm seeing this sort of bubble of energy in front of my face, just like between my head and the bedroom closet. And what I'm seeing inside that bubble of energy, and I'm totally conscious, I wasn't sleeping or anything. I'm seeing my brother's head tilted to the side, and his eyes are closed. And I get the feeling that he's drowning. Now, I eventually fall asleep, and the next day I call up my mother and I tell her the story. And I forget about it. About a week later, my mother calls up to tell me that my brother's in the hospital getting massive blood transfusions because the medication he was taking for his IBS was killing him. His blood platelets were severely low, and he could have died. But he was so in a good shape because he used to be like someone in karate, that he was able to handle it. And he got blood transfusions the entire week to bring his platelets up. And they gave him another medication, but it was dangerous. So this was my first type of psychic thing regarding my family. Like the universe telling me, hey, something's happening.
Yep.
Watch out.
Yep.
And so like growing up in these type of with these type of events was, I guess, something normal with my family. I don't know why. So my mom was my go-to person when it came to these things. So I tell her everything, and she would tell me, okay, well, keep that to yourself just in case.
Yeah.
A weird part of me thought that this was normal, that everybody had these events happening to them. And it's one of the reasons why I never shared. So people from my past, especially like during the high school years, if I would tell them now these type of stories, they wouldn't believe me because they knew me during a time of calm.
Yeah.
Everything started to go like uphill or downhill, depends how you see it, when I finished college. So my contract during those years finished, and I moved back to my hometown. And I find myself a new apartment, new girlfriend. So I was renting this apartment in a house, second story apartment. And things started off in 2007 now. So this was a really, really hot summer. I wake up, I'm on my back. The curtains were open to let the air move in. And what I'm seeing in front of me, like without my glasses, I see like good enough. So I'm looking all around. For some reason, I'm super calm. And like I realized like maybe like 4 feet away from me, just above the bed, there's something floating. It's semi-transparent, and I start concentrating on it. And I say, okay, there's like a black outline. So I start tracing the black outline. And I realize, oh, it looks like an upside down guitar pick. Before my arthritis, I used to be a musician.
Yeah.
And, or an upside down pear, let's say. Big at the top, skinny at the bottom. And then I start concentrating in it. And I realize it's a face, semi-transparent or cloaked, with two big, perfectly round eyes at the top. And so it comes down like really pointy, like my face. I didn't know anything about ETs, right? I looked at it. I thought, okay, it's a ghost. And I looked at it for like 30 seconds. It wasn't moving, just there looking back. I get the idea, hug your girlfriend and fall back asleep. So turn around, hug my girlfriend, fall back asleep. And
well, just as you normally do, right?
Yeah. Something's in the bedroom, but you fall back asleep.
Yep.
And so I thought, okay, well, that's a ghost. It couldn't do anything to me. So I just put that aside and that's it. Now, a few months later in that same apartment, I wake up to a female voice. Now, I was sleeping on my left side and my bed was right beside the bedroom door. So I was, going to the bathroom all the time. I was closest to the door, right? So I'm sleeping on my left side. And so my right ear was like pointing to the ceiling. And maybe an inch away, while I'm sleeping, I hear a female voice say, "You're going to be an uncle and your parents' grandparents." So, in a jolt, I wake up thinking somebody's in the bedroom. The light switch was just above me. So I get up, switch it on. Nobody's there. Turn around, look at my girlfriend. She's sleeping soundly. Okay, that's weird. Fall back asleep. Call my mother up the next day and I tell her the story. Now to backtrack a bit, my brother, like I said, was 4 years younger than me. He got married at the age of 21. So I was about 25 at the time. And so by that time, I'm around the age 30. So they've been trying to get his wife pregnant for years and it never really kicked in. They tried hormones, in vitro twice. She almost died because her belly swelled up so much because of all the crap that she had to take.
Oh, wow.
She almost died. She had to go to the hospital, get her whatever belly drained or whatever. Yeah. And so we didn't think, I don't have kids. So we thought, okay, well, my parents won't become grandparents. So that was that. And then all of a sudden, this lady during the night tells me I'm going to be an uncle. Now, so I tell my mom the story, completely forget about it. And one day my brother calls up and he says, hey, do you feel old today? I thought, well, that's a weird question.
Yeah.
He says, why? And so he says, well, you're going to be an uncle. Congrats. But, hey, your wife's pregnant. Yeah. So we talked about it for like half an hour. Super happy.
Yeah.
Still don't remember the story. So I called my mom. And of course, my brother called her first, right?
Yeah.
And that's what she tells me. Do you remember about the story you told me about the woman and the voice? And that's when my jaw dropped. Like, holy moly. It actually happened. Now, throughout my entire life, I always thought that there was somebody that I forgot. Like somebody from my past that I'm forgetting and I shouldn't. Somebody like dear to me. And I remember pacing around the house when I'm alone. I've got these moments that, who am I forgetting? Who am I forgetting? Also, I'd like to add there, growing up, for those in the 70s, Gen X, woohoo, there was a film that came out by Disney called The Child of Glass. The whole premise is a boy and his family, they move. I think they buy this house and they move. There's on this plantation in the States, and the boy meets up with the spirit of a young girl that's trapped on the land, and he finds out that. Well, I think eventually, I only saw this movie once, but this movie really traumatized me. And the girl, the spirit of the girl, her spirit was trapped in a glass doll. I think she was killed by her father, and the doll was. They eventually found the doll in a well, a brick well, and where inside the well where one of the bricks was. So it was totally hidden. And I think you had to break the doll to release the spirit.
Yep.
But the thing that traumatized me is the first time I saw her, she was all in white, fluffy type of 1800s type of pajamas. And so that movie, even though I only saw it once, seeing that girl traumatized me, and I don't know why. Up until an event that I'm going to get into later on. Now, so we had the face of the gray, we had the voice. So eventually, my girlfriend and I would break up, and I buy my first house, which was a modular home that was built off-site, brought onto the site, brand new land, so no tombstones or anything. It's funny, but I've had people on that their house was when they do their own research that the house was actually on in an old cemetery, especially in the UK.
Oh yeah,
they do have a lot of hauntings.
And our family owns some land up in further up north in Alberta, and some of the energy from that place there was definitely some stuff going on there, and they put pennies in trees all over the area. And then also did some smudging and stuff, and it was better after that.
Smudging works, man. I've tried it.
It does, yeah.
So speaking of smudging, as soon as I bought the house, I smudged everything, and first thing I did was I'd say to my ancestors, those that passed, if they want to come and visit, they're more than welcome, as long as they protect the house.
Mm-hmm.
But from that moment on, so in 2009, I'd start getting body taps at night.
Oh,
double taps. Just at first, I thought, okay, it's because I'm on my stomach and my back's not covered, so it could be like a nervous twitch because of the cold. And every month, it would just happen again. Tack. Different parts of the body under the covers. And it's not like a twitch or anything. It really, like 2 taps. Even in when I moved to a new place, I moved in with my dad eventually. I had 4 body taps, let's say, during the night. One on one near my ankle and one on my right shoulder. And so this would happen up until 2009 to 2015. Also in my house, I'd hear this weird sound like every month. And I got tired of it. One weekend, let's say a Friday, it did it on a Friday night, always maybe 12:30. So the next morning, I go into the kitchen, the living room, and start poking around, start to try to find out where the sound came from. And I realized it's the top of the trash bin. So the top of the trash bin, plastic trash bin, would open and close at night. And this happened for a few years. And back in the apartment before I bought the house, I heard a voice or something say serendipity in my mind. And even though I've always went to English schools, I had no idea what it meant. So back in the day, we didn't have, I don't think Google was a thing back then.
No, probably not.
So we had like Metacrawler, Yahoo. So I had to Yahoo what a serendipity meant. And it said like something to this, meaning somebody unexpected in a weird place. And so each time I'd meet somebody, I thought, okay, well, I can't associate that word to this event. Now, I knew I was getting ill. And my mom said, "Why don't you go see this medium that lives like maybe half an hour's drive from where she lived, and she's really good." So not really into this. I say, "Okay, why not?" So I go see this medium, and she looks at me, but she's always looking to my right, and her eyes become watery. And she knew stuff that she didn't want to share, but she says, "Well, you're going to meet up somebody in a year and a half, 2 years max. She's going to have blonde hair, And she starts doing this with her hands. And I couldn't understand what she was doing at first. And then she says, okay, your hair is going to be here. Now, a year and a half, almost to the day, I decide to, I had during my lunch break, I decide to go to Walmart's to buy something. And I see an old friend from like way back. And we start talking, and he says, well, my friends, I'm waiting for my friend. So we wait. And so this sort of, I turn around, and this sort of blonde Pleiadian angelic lady, beautiful blonde hair, starts moving in front of us. And she stops in front of us. Now I'm looking like to and fro. This lady's still waiting for his friend. Because I didn't believe that, this girl was it. And then she starts talking. And then this is when I realized that she was British and had a beautiful, like noble British accent you see on TV.
Yeah.
Like Narnia type of thing. And then we start talking, and that's it. And so I go back to work, and a few days later, she emails me because she got my email through the friend. And she says that I was a starseed. I thought, what the hell is a starseed? And then she starts talking about this ET stuff. And I thought to myself, is she in a sect? This is how little I knew about ETs. And the more stuff she shared, the more my life started to make sense. All my past events was starting to point to something out of the ordinary. And the medium told me when I'm going to meet this person to take my time. I haven't met anyone yet. So I was taking my time.
Yep.
And the thing is, I was supposed to be with her.
Yeah.
The thing was, she said to take your time, to take my time, sorry, is that she went on a trip to a few countries for a year. Then she came back. So that was taking my time. And so we just emailed, and she helped me with my whole awakening process. She was a gray abductee from England. Okay. Had a high-ranking family official at the time, high-ranking military, and he was a knight also, her great-grandfather. And so she came back, and that's when we did like a crystal ceremony, and that's where we fell in love. And what else? So the second night, the first night we did a C5 at my place. That's when the first time I saw that satellites were actually moving. I thought they were static. So I thought, wow, lights moving. I was totally crazed out. The second night, we installed these blankets on the front lawn. This was in August of 2013 now. And we started doing these chants. And we do the Stephen Greer protocol, like Im Nama, and like Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzabayot. I think it's holy, holy, holy is the... I can't remember the translation, but so we would do that, and we project our thoughts into space. So the Greer thing is that we project our thoughts, our location where we are, through telepathy, and we project it out, and we show them where in the Milky Way galaxy where we are. Then we zoom back. Then we go into where in the solar system where we are. We show the moon, we show the planets, and then we try to show where we are in which continent, and so on and so forth. And then we do it in reverse. So we do that for an hour. But the thing is, 45 minutes in, everybody was outside. The kids were the naughty kids that my neighbor had. They were outside. Everybody was outside. It was fairly warm. At around 9:45 p.m. Eastern time, this time we were standing up, and a about 10-foot wide orange red light ship glides in just above the power lines, maybe 30, 40 feet above the power lines. I could have thrown a rock at it, but it came at an angle so we'd see it. And it did a flyby. So both of us saw it. None of our neighbors saw it. It was close. It flew close. No sound whatsoever. It's as if you were you were in space and you threw a rock. It would glide, and that's it. No sound whatsoever. It was it looked like a roundish egg. Not totally orb, but slightly more elongated.
Yeah.
Yeah. But not like a saucer, but like a elongated egg or a round watermelon. And 10 foot wide, and it did a flyby, and the whole thing lasted about for a minute. Now we were ecstatic. My second night doing SCE5 and I see a UFO up close, I thought, oh my God, does this happen every time we do SCE5?
It's just that easy.
There you go.
Yeah.
Take my money.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so she had to go somewhere. I can't remember where, but so I was on my own for that, like the weekend after. So I decided to go and visit my folks. They had a house by a lake, 45 minutes away from where I was. And so that night, cloudless night, starry sky, I start to do a C5 on my own. Mosquitoes were out, so I'd do a C5 and I'd be walking all around the house for 45 minutes because I didn't, they were catching up, so I had to make it quick. And after 45 minutes, 1 hour, nothing's happening. I thought, oh, well, okay. The UFO came from my girlfriend.
Yeah.
It's sad. Go inside the house for about 5 minutes, take a break. As soon as I step out off the front porch, I get the feeling to look up. Now, my dad's house was surrounded by trees. And as soon as I look up, the timing was impeccable. I see the same UFO fly overhead just above my head, just above the trees. Of course, I'm in awe, but I get the feeling, go and get your folks. So I run inside the house. Mom, Dad, there's a UFO, come quick. My mom, into angels and crystals and pendulums, comes out fairly quick. She sees it up close. My dad, more down to earth, takes his time.
Yeah.
Like glass of wine, comes out later. He sees it when it's a bit further away. And he says, oh, it's a plane. Like, shh. If you would have came out when I asked you to, you would have seen it up close.
Yeah.
You can't, it's not like the ISS space station or whatever. You know how it looks like. Never changes. That thing was big, round, orange, red, same craft, just above the trees. And from that moment on, my dad started having contact.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Once it awakens, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Thing is, my mom passed away a few months later, but
sorry to hear that.
Yeah. Now, okay, so this was in 2013. So in December of 2013, my dad, he had the flu, a really bad cold, and so he slept in the guest bedroom downstairs. My mom would sleep in the master bedroom upstairs. So he wakes up during the night. As soon as he wakes up, again, timing is impeccable. This 4-inch golden orb comes in through the basement window and glides above his head. He sees it from one end of the bedroom to the other. He tries to grab it. He doesn't know if it went through his hand or above his hand, but it comes back and it out through the window. My dad also would start having body taps at night like myself. He'd wake up with a dark figure by the bed. We suspect it was his mother that passed away a year prior. And a few years ago, after my mom passed away, he moved to another city where my uncle and my godmother lived to be closer to his family. And he wakes up, in a new house, And he calls up after the event and says, you can't believe what happened to me last night. And says, okay, well, go ahead. I woke up to see what I thought was a weird looking clown. Something was off. He looked like a clown, but like not totally a clown. And I start laughing and said, Dad, that's probably a gray projecting as like a screen image as a clown because he didn't want to frighten you.
Yeah.
And, of course it was that. But so those are his experiences so far. Oh, no, I think on my mother's death anniversary, he was out doing like a painting contract and he was sleeping over there. And the night prior, I think, he heard a female voice say, yoo-hoo, at night to wake him up. Okay, so to come back to my experiences back in 2013. So in December of 2013, now, so we were dating. The whole thing was official. I can't remember if she was there at the time for this one, but in 2012. So remember, we thought it was the end of the world.
Oh yeah.
So I'd meditate a lot, and just before, now this is an image I sent to you. Just before going to bed, after meditating for like half an hour, and I always went to an extent of meditation. I thought I was going to leave my body, and that's when I had to stop it. I panicked, so I go to bed, and as soon as I closed my eyes, on my left eyelid, I would see this box, a black and white box, and inside the box was the side view of an old typewriter, like the ones that you've got these cylinders and you have to push to continue. And somebody was typing, and the feeling I got from that was whoever was showing me this image wanted me to blog my stories. So I go on this website and I write everything down the day after. So during that day, during the evening, I do my monthly meditation. I send energy to the planet, try to change its timeline. I go to bed not expecting anything. I close my eyes, and again on my left eyelid. Now, why I say left, I was doing this. So as soon as my left eyelid was closed, the projection came back. And instead of a black and white typewriter in a gray box, I was seeing in a gray box 2 hands shaking on it, like they were congratulating me for a job well done, and for blogging my stuff. And I guess that's the moment on where I started getting more out there. Let's say yep. I wanted to interview people, but I didn't have the means at the time, and starseeds are lonely because we don't know what's going on with our lives, and we there's no one to connect to. I thought I was I thought it was like mentally ill for a long time because you don't have anybody to share. I only have my mom. My brother, I don't think he knew this. My dad, I'm not sure if my mom shared with my dad. And so the fact that she woke me up to this whole world and I started connecting with people around the world, that was a lifesaver for me. And she totally changed my life. So
I totally understand that feeling, especially the feeling of I know for myself, it was that feeling of like you're going fucking crazy. I remember asking my dad too. I was like, I think I might be going crazy. But eventually I was able to kind of come to grips with it. It's lonely.
Yeah. Yeah. Lonely other starseeds. That's how it goes. So, what else? So in 2013, well, at least in that same house, I forgot to tell you this. One time, sometimes I feel I'd be out of body because I realize that I'm sleeping on the floor, but I know somehow that my body's in the bed. And I hear this female voice say, "What are you doing on the floor?" And I feel like somebody's hugging me. And I feel this love, this warm love. And I love it. And I'm being like being brought back into the bed, into my body. And I sleep like nothing's happened, like nothing happened. One time I went to ask for a raise. So I go see human resources, and the guy starts to huff and puff and like to make himself big. And I come out of the experience that no raise. I barely breathe during the whole event. I go to my office, my head starts spinning, and eventually I throw up in the bathroom. So my secretary brings me home. I'm super ill because I couldn't drive. So I fall asleep in front of the toilet. I threw up too. Eventually, for the God of me, I'm able to get up and sleep in. I go to my bed, fall asleep. Now I remember this. For some reason, I'm kneeling in the corner of my bedroom. I know my body's in the bed. I hear the door open. I turn around. I look at the main entrance door. Door still closed. I turn back, head pointing for some reason to the corner, and I feel like a hand plunged through my back, grab my heart, because my heart was palpitating, was like beating really fast because I was sick and the whole trauma. And then I feel my heart started to relax to, and then I'm in my body again. I sleep like nothing happened. I wake up the next day like really good. So that's just to build up an event that comes later on.
Yeah.
Now, so I'm with my girlfriend. We've had these sort of events where like the energy was so strong in the bedroom at night that we had to get up and shake it off. Like, what's happening? And so one night, I think this is the shadow being image I sent you. Mm-hmm. So in December 2013, up in Canada, where the winters are fairly cold, so sometimes I'd get up because of the cold, go to the bathroom. So my bed was right beside the bedroom door. I wake up, so the door is right beside my face. I wake up and what I see right in front of my face, maybe like a foot or two away, was a 5.5 inch oval shaped object, sort of matte gray, matte black, because it was nighttime. It's about like 3.5 inches wide. So it's like a portal or a black hole floating in my bedroom doorway. Now, the whole thing happened fairly fast. My brain registered as seeing something that was black hole-ish shaped. It didn't have any width to it, so it was totally like a 2D type of thing floating.
Yeah.
The dimensions were there. Nothing was holding it in place. So as soon as my brain registered, like, oh, something's happening, I jump, turn the switch on. It disappears. My girlfriend, who became my fiance, wakes up in a jolt. What's happening? What's happening? And again, like I said at the beginning, she's an abductee and she's highly psychic. So I tell her the story. And then she says, I'm not waking up because of you. A man was speaking to her telepathically nonstop. EMP, electromagnetic pulse, nonstop, like we're being attacked. So it takes us about half an hour to fall back asleep because we were really panicking.
Yeah.
Because she's had like bad people try to find. Well, she was always being spied upon. Throughout the entire time we were together, my phone was tapped. So when we'd speak, when she was like, she had to go back eventually to the UK, I'd talk with her on the phone. I'd talk with another contactee friend that we met. And both we'd hear these 1980s beeps. Like our phone was being transferred to somebody else, and then we hear it each time. And So the black hole event happens. We fall asleep. Now, I wake up a few times during the night, and I'm feeling movement coming in through where the black hole was, and from the doorway. Now, the living room's right beside the door, and so the curtains were open. So there was a lot of moonlight and lamplight coming in the living room. So my bedroom was somewhat illuminated. So I'm getting this movement coming in through the portal, and I black out. Now I'm wake. This time I'm wake. I wake up and I'm facing my fiance. I open my eyes and I get the feeling I'm super drugged up, like waking
I
from
know that feeling. Yeah,
waking from anesthesia.
Yeah, or like super drunk.
Yeah, but I had trouble moving. Like, whoa, what the hell's happening? Like, but I can move. I wasn't paralyzed. And what I'm seeing in front of the bed and on her side of the bed were at least 6 feet tall, very broad-shouldered shadow beings. I'm only seeing the silhouette, so I'm seeing through them. They were blacker than the night, and where so imagine like a football player, it's shadow. So where the neck would be, I'm not seeing any neck. I'm just seeing a huge, like shoulders, but on the shoulders, a huge, round, disproportionately big, round helmet. And they were all identical. With some effort, I'm able to raise my hand and say hi. I do that and I black out. This is a sort of like missing time type of thing. So I wake up, I realize I'm standing and looking down towards my feet. I'm barefoot. I'm wearing hospital robes. As soon as I realize this, I black out and I wake up the next morning. And when I shared this on Misha Johnston's radio show, she thought, okay, well, that's probably my lab. So yeah, I've never heard of ETs like drugging people. Maybe once, but like humans might have like the technology to get people drugged up before they get caught. So I'm not sure if you ever had that.
I've definitely had where almost every one of them, like probably in the last 4 years, I would say that probably 3 of them after an experience, I would wake up and it would feel like I was drunk, and then I had to I'd always have to go pee, and it would be like an insane amount. It was almost like I got I had an IV where I got way more fluid than normal. It's something I've always noticed, but it's that drunk feel. Like I feel like off kilter, and feel like I'm like I'm drunk. It's very weird.
Okay, well, so the end of 2013 happened. We had Christmas at my parents' house, and so she had to go back because like she had this sort of 6 months in, 6 months out type of thing. She goes back to the UK for like a few months, and that's when my mom she caught a super flu at the hospital, and within 2 days she was dead. During the event, my mom appeared to my fiance while she was back in the UK. My girlfriend was on the loo, on the toilet. My mom appeared to her and told her, "Please take care of my boy. He has no one else." And so I don't want to wait another 6 months to see her. So I gave her a piece of paper, a note, and she tries to get back into the country to help me with my dad. Because the company I worked for went broke. I had like rheumatoid arthritis. I couldn't find work fast enough. I had to sell my house. So, but I had money left over. So I was able to, up until the end of 2014 to stick with the house. But at the end of the year, I had to sell it.
Yeah.
So yeah, she comes back and she helps me with my dad cope with everything. Now the entire year of 2013, this is another type of psychic type of thing that we have. Now during the entire year, my mom was still alive, but each time I'd see a lovely lady around the age of my dad, I think to myself, oh, when that lady go well with my dad, then we kick in like why the hell would I want my parents to break up? They've been together since the age of 16. They're lovebirds. They've been together forever, and they wanted to die with.
Yeah.
And together. So I couldn't understand why. Like I was totally pissed at myself. I didn't want this to happen. Until the time that my mom passed away, and I was helping my dad go on dating sites to try to find somebody else.
Yeah.
Because my mom, she's the one that took care of the to pay the bills, all the internet stuff. She would do everything. My dad he brought in the money.
Yeah.
And so I had to help him with all of that. So it was very hard. So my fiance, she was able to come back to Canada. The first night she was at my dad's place. We were sleeping downstairs where my dad saw the golden orb. She wakes up in a jolt, say, "Find me a piece of paper quick." So I get up, give her the paper and the pen, and she starts writing down. Writing and writing and writing. I thought, oh, this is strange. The thing is, my mom was speaking to her telepathically. My mother was dead.
Yeah. Yep.
And so she hands me back the piece of paper. 3/4 of the entire page was my British fiance trying to write in French.
That's awesome.
So you can understand a thing. So,
yeah.
But the thing is, you could make out words because of how it sounded.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, I got to like decrypt what she was saying.
Oh, very interesting. Yeah, because she was trying to translate it, like just do the phonetically.
How it sounded.
Yeah.
So during that event, that contact, she says to my mom, "Can you speak to me in English? I don't understand a word of French." So my mom starts to speak in English.
Oh.
So at the bottom part of the page, she says, "Look in the drawer by the window." And so communication stopped. The next day, we show the letter to my dad. We go around the house and we start opening drawers. So where the TV was by the patio window, underneath was a drawer. And by the patio window, we open it up, and inside was my mom's dream diary, which I have, I share the entry. The second to last entry in the dream diary was a prophetic dream that my mom had about her own death, but she didn't know it until
yeah.
And that dream, my dad's mother, who passed away, the dark figure that was beside his bed, probably.
Oh yeah.
She comes to her with other souls in her bedroom in the house by the lake. And they start talking, and eventually, like a whole bunch of souls want to talk to her, but my grandmother tells them to stay outside. And eventually, in the dream, she finds out that my mom was going to get an operation on her midsection, and that sort of made her afraid. She comes out of the dream. She falls back asleep. The dream continues. She asked my grandmother, "So what's about the operation?" He said, "Oh, you're going to be operated on the midsection. Don't worry, everything's going to be fine. Fine for them, not fine for us, because she died." Yeah. So we during that year we're invited by someone in MUFON and a police officer, a contactee, a researcher. We do a C5 north of Montreal in the mountains, and look at a UFO hotspot. So by around 11 p.m., nothing happens. And I think to myself, wouldn't it be funny if the 11:11 a UFO flies overhead? So I totally forget it. So we're like, the house is on a hill, and at around 11, no, I won't say a time. So after like a few minutes after 11, we look at the horizon and we see a big white light starts moving towards us really fast. Because the entire night we were seeing, like, this is close to Montreal, so we were seeing airplanes. So we know how fast, the airplanes travel. And they were flying like left and right in front of us. But this time, the plane was coming directly towards us. And then when it gets overhead, I'm seeing one white light, two white light, three white lights in triangle formation, and a huge round red light in the center.
Oh, wow.
At first. So the whole thing might have lasted a minute before it got overhead. So when I look at my watch, it's 11:12. So it probably appeared maybe at 11:11 in the distance.
Literally.
And by the time it got overhead, it was 11:12.
Yeah.
Thing is, we were hearing afterburners. And so I thought, is this a TR3B? So I'm not sure if TR3Bs have afterburners, but I shared this with a guest that I had on from I think the UK. And he told me, yeah, you might have heard afterburners, but that doesn't mean you didn't have any fighter planes in the vicinity following the craft.
Yeah.
So that could have been that, because you always hear the jet, the motor before you see the plane, or vice versa. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I said, oh yeah, because somebody was reading our emails. So eventually she has to go back to the UK. So now in 2015, I sold my house by then, living with my dad, and she has to go back, and she eventually breaks up. Now, because the whole immigration thing, that would have been fucked up. I didn't have a house, and everything became really, really difficult. So I was devastated, like beyond devastated. I wanted to kill myself, and totally heartbroken. Like the whole thing was, my life was prophesied. My life changed because of her. She was prophesized, and we were on this amazing adventure. It was crazy. So she breaks up, I think, early May or early March, and for the entire month, I email her every day, hoping a response, and she doesn't respond. Now, at the end of the month, my dad was away with his new girlfriend, thank God, and I was taking care of the puppy. But I was alone. And I wanted to die. And I started crying out to the universe, like, why? So I emailed her one last time. Thanks for all the memories. It was fun. Like something like that. I still got the email, but I'll get into that. So I sent her that at around 6 p.m. Eastern. So this is 5 hours UK time. So this is like past like 12.
Yeah.
And 11 or 12. And so by like 7 p.m., so this is past midnight, I get an email response. Like, she was asleep. She says, "Hey, are you okay?" So I tell her the story. Well, the thing is, I got woken up by a voice while I'm sleeping, while I was screaming out to the universe. A voice said, "Wake up now." So she woke up in a jolt. So she goes online, looks at her emails, and that's when she sees my email. So she thought, "Oh, kid, something's wrong." Like, she might have thought that I was going to kill myself.
Yeah.
And so I tell her the story. It says, the voice was female and alien. And it says, she says to send protection now. So I'm going to go and get myself a cup of tea. So because of that, we were able to patch things up. And the last time we talked on the phone was in 2016.
Wow.
But yeah, so whatever is out there, thank you. And to those, I say pray. If you need to pray, because there's always somebody listening in.
Yeah.
I cried out to the universe, and somebody woke her up on the other side of the planet. So,
and got you some closure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this was in 2014. So yeah. So no, 2015. So a lot of after I got. So I would still get body taps up until I had an open heart surgery in January of 2016. So I would meet up with these with friends from Australia, and we'd meditate. I'd have one time I had this what I think was an actual, without me knowing, I was seeing afar, remote viewing.
Mm-hmm.
After that event, as soon as I close my eyes, and I'm seeing there's this sort of like mem or like ET bodyguard that we see on the net. That's like the side view, and we only see like a rounded like clean shaven head, and everybody think, oh, that looks like an ET. I saw something similar to that. The side view of a head, no hair. And when I realize I'm looking at something, I concentrate on the head, and that's when the head turns back and turns around and looks at me. And I jumped back in a jolt. I thought, oh, I've never tried a remote view since then. Also, one time, I don't know, because I was showing off light when I meditated. I don't know. But I went to bed, and during the night, I hear a voice. Maybe, I'm not sure if it's me saying this or a voice like an inch from my face, but I hear, I need your help. So during that night, I call out to the universe to help whatever being. And the night after, I get a whole bunch of like body taps on my thigh. It was really, really weird. I also started having gallbladder attacks, though I thought they were like stomach related, but I had pain in the center, just below my sternum. And I call out to the universe, and I'm seeing this during the night. I see like just above my head, the face of a very wrinkled gray, very wrinkled, like an old prune.
Yeah.
Gray. And I'm seeing like 3 fingers over my chest, like I'm being scanned. And the way I'm seeing her face is, imagine that you're in a dance place or like a rave, and you got these strobe lights flashing. So 1 second you see somebody, the other it's black, then you see it again. So I'm seeing like this gray, and and that like light flashing type of thing. And I feel female energy from her. I was able to decide or understand that through that energy, she was female. It was really, really weird. And so yeah, I fall asleep, and that's that. So yeah, so in 2016, I get operated on, and nothing happens. From that moment on, my experiences, they plunged, and I felt super alone. Because having always somebody come and body tap me at night, like somebody's watching over me, I felt really safe, and I felt loved. Having no fiance, having my mom died, and having to take care of my dad, that was totally devastating. My brother never came up to my dad's place ever, since my mom passed away. I felt, and he never helped out. I was the only guy there. So the entire 2016, nothing happened until. So I spoke out at my first UFO conference in Maine in the fall of 2016. So the conference was called Experiencer Speak. So that was my first time in the US. So during the fall, after coming back, my dad went hunting with his girlfriend. She stayed at the camp, but he went like bow hunting.
Yep.
Like the first few weeks before, you can hunt with a bow before using a rifle. So he was out, And so I thought, okay, well, nothing's going to happen, right? He's with his girlfriend. I'm okay. So I go to sleep. During the night, I hear my dad's voice in my head say my name out loud. I wake up in a jolt. Oh, something's wrong. I don't get these type of events without something happening. But I thought to myself, okay, he's with his girlfriend. I'm good. Fall back asleep. Wake up the next morning. 7 a.m., nothing's happening. 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m., his girlfriend calls up. He says, your dad's in the woods and he's lost. And I thought, my dad knows where he is. He grew up in those woods. And I don't know the place. He can't be lost. And he's panicking. I said, okay, well, that's why I got called out during the night. So we hang up. I start putting on my clothes. And after a while, I decide, to hell with it. I jump in my truck and I drive down. I wasn't too sure where he was camping, but maybe like 10 minutes in, my dad calls up. He says, Yannick, drive down as fast as possible. So, but I was already on the road.
Yeah.
So by the time I knew his voice was panicking, but I didn't know why. He didn't want to tell me. He said he was lost, or his bearings were off a bit.
Yeah.
But I'm able to find the campsite. My dad's there. He called his girlfriend, go inside the truck and start using the horn. So he was able to locate.
Yeah. Smart.
Sound locate where the truck was. So he was able to come back to it.
Yep.
Now, the thing is, he was patching up his lower calf. The thing is, he told me when I got there, he came face to face with a moose. He tried to shoot it with an arrow.
Yeah.
So he throws an arrow. It misses. Sort of like bounces off him. The moose runs by him. He turns around. So while turning around, one of the arrows in his arrow bag, I'm not sure what it's called.
The quiver, yeah.
The quiver falls to the ground in the moss. But the feather part of the arrow was in the moss, sticking up. The pointy part was sticking in the air. When my dad turned around and tried to shoot it again, the arrow went right through his rubber boot, like a leather boot, through his entire calf to the other side, and why he was confused, and I think he was bleeding a lot.
Yeah.
So he was able to bandage himself, but anyhow he was able to come back to the campsite, and he removed the arrow. Luckily, it didn't hit anything major.
Yeah.
So the universe called me up to try to save my dad, because he hopped in my truck, and I drove back to the hospital, which is about an hour and a half away, with all my 4 lights on, and I was driving crazy fast, like 140 kilometers an hour, like. And the roads here aren't that great. No. So I was able to help my dad. And so after that, no voices, no body taps, nothing. I do a few CE5s, the odd flashing lights here and there, nothing major, nothing I felt alone, really. I felt alone. So I'm able to find a new job, and I loved it. And so thanks to the job, I was able to build my life back again. So moved back to my hometown, find an apartment, and I've been working ever since.
That's awesome.
Thank you. Now, but nothing major happened from that. It took a few years before the body taps just started to happen. I think this year, or maybe started last year. No, probably this year. The body tap started to return in my new house, because I moved to another town. And what else? So she left me in 2015 and took me like 4 years to find somebody else through a friend online, a contactee from Australia. We one of her friends lived in Canada and was just a few hours away from me. So I sent a Facebook invite, and we'd talk every now and then, like over the course of a year or so. And the more we talked, things went pretty well. So she asks me out. So I agreed to it. So I had to drive down 5 hours to be with her for breakfast. And we had this sort of nice day planned out, really. So I'm at the hotel and I go to bed. Now she was just like a few kilometers away. And so nothing happened for a few years, right? So normally I'd sleep on my back now because of the heart operation. I can't sleep on my chest anymore.
Yeah.
My heart feels weird, but it's, everything's okay. And so I realized, but this time I'm sleeping. I'm consciously awake. My eyes are closed. I suspect my arms are to my side. No, I don't know. I don't feel my arms for some reason, but I'm conscious and I feel two hands slightly on either side of my body. And they start pushing me on the bed like that. Like from one side of the bed. Because I was sleeping on the right side of the bed, which was in direct sight of the bathroom. And so I'm being pushed on the bed, but I don't feel the bed. Like I'm being glided. And so I thought, oh my God, I'm being abducted. So I send out love telepathically to whoever's pushing me. So I was expecting like a telepathic voice say, "Oh, you're awake," but nothing of that. I hear these high-pitched shrieks like a banshee, like that. And I thought, but I'm super calm. My eyes are closed.
Yeah.
I send love out again. So by the time this happens, and I'm being still like moved about, I think I'm in between the bedroom wall and the bed, and I feel I'm being pushed to where the base or the head of the wall where the pillow was. So I'm being going. I guess I'm going through that wall. Then I get the feeling that I'm going up. That's when I black out. I wake up the next morning. I wake up during the night. I thought, oh boy, this happened. But part of me thought, could be a dream. Anyhow, I go on Facebook and I write everything down. I still got the posts, but I omit the banshee shrieks. Fall back asleep. And my soon-to-be girlfriend, she wakes up in the morning. We start chatting on Facebook because we're about to meet up. And I asked her, did anything of consequence happen to you last night? She's like, yeah, now they mention it. So she starts like telling me the story. So I think I'm dreaming, but I feel like something's putting pillows all around me and starts to hug me like really tight. It wasn't like, she didn't like it. And then she feels like somebody putting a pillow, so like her eyes are closed, but someone's putting a pillow on her face. And then she starts telling that stop doing this. It's painful. She hears 3 high-pitched banshee shrieks during the same night that I had my event, during the same wee hours.
Yeah.
So something happened to her, something happened to me. Were we being checked up upon? Were being checked to see if we were compatible? Or was it like what I call the love bite thing from Eve Lorgan, where 2 contactees are made to come to be together for some purpose?
Oh, interesting. I've never heard that. We'll have to talk about that later.
Yeah, check it out. Love Bite from Evil Oregon. Yeah, like one of us could have been manipulated to be with the other. That is a thing. That is a thing.
Interesting.
And so like we thought, okay, well, yeah, we got abducted. We got abducted. So the entire day went super well. We had loads of fun, and like from that moment on, we were together, and we're together ever since. Now the thing is, she is an experiencer also. Like I said, she would wake up in the morning. Her entire life, she had this sort of fear of grays. She didn't understand why. And when she saw the face on communion, she panicked. Like Roswell crash thing, super fearful. But she would wake up with what we call a third eye visions in the morning. It's as if the contact with them was still going on while sleeping. As soon as she'd wake up, she'd still see them. So sometimes the Greys would walk in her bedroom, touching stuff like being curious. Sometimes they would have wands. Sometimes they'd have these iPads, and they would do work, like scientific work. Sometimes she would see, like she has a bachelor's degree in art, so she does these really nice drawings. She did the one the mantid for my YouTube channel. And,
she's really talented.
Yeah, she's got a huge diary of a whole bunch of third eye visions that she gets, that she draws. She draws them and writes like a piece of information, the date and what happened. Sometimes she has these visions of reptilians showing her his jewels. Sometimes mantids. One time, like hybrid babies in cribs. One time, she was in front of a whole bunch of a different type of ETs on a craft, and behind them was this huge window, and she would see stars, and they were all saying goodbye before she came back. It's like really, really cool. So we do see fights together, and it's really fun. And the fact that the whole ET thing is not awkward with her, and share anything.
Totally get that. My fiance is the same. She's a experiencer as well, and it's so much easier. Just being able to, you don't have to preface it with, I know this sounds crazy, but you can just say, oh, I had a really weird thing. Yeah, I love that.
So yeah, the whole thing with her is fairly cool, and so I brought her down to her first like UFO conference, and met loads of fun people.
Which conference was that?
Toronto ACE, Alien Cosmic Expo.
Oh, how was that? Is it neat?
Yeah, and so I've introduced Steve Boucher to her, a really good contactee. Kevin Estrella also from. He's a musician, and I'm not sure if she saw Grant Cameron that year, but anyhow, I forgot about a really cool story back in my house when I still had it. Now, remember the Child of Glass story that I shared earlier, and all the female.
You've had a whole bunch of female,
type things. Of thing. Okay, one time, my fiance was out of town that time. I'm in bed, and I'm still getting body taps. But this time, I feel like a light touch going up my leg. I'm on my back, and I feel this touching. And as soon as it gets up to my hip area, I think I'm sleeping, but I'm conscious.
Yeah.
And I go into full vision mode. What I'm seeing in front of me, only waist up, like most like higher beings that how they show themselves. A lot of people that I've interviewed only see belly up. So that's like a theme type of thing.
Oh, that's interesting.
So what I'm seeing in front of me was this sort of angelic figure. You could call it Pleiadian, but she had beautiful blonde hair, bushy hair down to her shoulders. She's wearing what I call 1800s type of bedrobes, pajamas, very fluffy. And she's showering me with love. Again, like when I had the sort of OB type of event.
Yeah.
So I feel paralyzed from the love. Every cell in my body felt love. I thought, oh, is this what it would like? You'd be in heaven, how it feels like? That's how it felt. You can't describe it. And I call it love radiation just to help it out. And I just helped, describe it, the feeling. And she says, do you want to come with me? And so I thought, okay, well, she's an ET. She's got a UFO. And the first thought was my mom, when she was still alive, is I can't come with you. My mom's going to miss me.
Yeah.
Because I was really close with my mom. And as soon as I say that, instead of love, she showers me with sadness. Every cell in my body felt the sadness that she was sending out. And I thought, oh my God, what did I do? What did I do? I'm so sorry. And then she says, out of the blue, do you want to come with, no, are you good with motors? Why would an ET or Angelic ask me, was I good with motors? And I thought, okay, she's got a UFO motor problem. So I show her my arthritic hand, and I'm sorry, I can't help you with these hands. And she showers me with sadness again and disappears in a backwards motion. I wake up the next morning thinking it's a dream. So less than 24 hours later, so this was again in December 2013, fairly cold outside. This was the weekend, and I decide I didn't have any groceries, so okay, I try to start my truck. We've got these, we can install these like long distance starters to start it. From afar. Doesn't want to start. I said, fuck, the battery's dead. So I go outside, plug the motor on, plug the battery charger on the battery, leave it there for about 3 hours, try to start it again. Doesn't want to start. Okay, so I call up my dad. My dad says, go underneath the truck and start tapping the starter just to see if that's going to help out. So, there was a lot of snow everywhere. So I'm able to sort of slide underneath the truck and get to the starter, and I start tapping it for like 20 minutes. Go back inside the truck, and this time I try to start it manually. After like 10, 15 minutes, I'm able to start the truck again. So, oh yes, I can get food. So it's so it's not the battery. I had to have the starter replaced. So as soon as I get back inside the house, that's when it kicks in. She wasn't asking me if I was good with UFO motors. She was asking me if I was good with truck motors.
Yeah.
So the whole questions was so out of place. So that's right. Had to be related.
Yeah, no context until it actually happened. Yeah, it's fascinating. I love that.
So she gave me like confirmation that it happened, because I would have put it off as a dream. So
100%, yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I think that my trauma with the Child of Glass, the female that's been following me to that event, and to have the female woman wake up my former fiance across the pond, tell me out, that could be what people call like an angel guide.
Yep.
Could be. So I don't know. But yeah. So.
That's super interesting, actually. When I was on your show, I was talking about when I was 4, and I had that blonde lady that her hair was about shoulder length. And I've had quite a few experiences with, it seems like it's like a female thing. And I'm wondering, since you've been interviewing so many people, do female experiencers typically have male, like a theme of male stuff? No? Or is it just kind of all over the place?
Female.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, most of them have females.
Interesting. Yeah, I find that interesting. I've had a mix of male and female, but the ones that really stand out are female.
I've interviewed someone recently that the video hasn't premiered yet, but he's from England, and he also had this contact as a kid with a female, Nordic, what he calls Nordic, and he'd wake up at night, had this huge feeling that he had to be somewhere. 5 years old, and he had to go outside for some reason, and for some reason, the door was magically unlocked. He would open the door and he would walk outside in the middle of the night for maybe a kilometer down a trail in the by the woods, and where this huge field was, and there was a glowing house with two people outside. And they knew his name.
Yeah, weird.
Weird. And one of them had an iPad.
Yeah.
And so he had this sort of Nordic female guide. Yeah, blonde hair also, which is So since my heart operation, everything slowed down up until just recently there, I started getting body taps again. Even maybe 2-3 weeks ago, my mom's death anniversary, maybe a few days prior, I feel like I was sleeping with my hands were somewhat over my chest, and I feel like a hand pressing on both arms and somebody lightly pinching my chin.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, okay, that's probably my mom.
Yeah.
Because she hasn't come back since, but
yeah. That's nice.
Yeah. So that's my story so far. So I've been, thanks to COVID, I've started the YouTube channel, Experiencer Interviews. So this is my 4th year.
Wow.
So I only do abductees, experiencers, contactees. I don't do researchers. I just want, I don't want the middleman. I want the real story. And so I've had a really good comments so far. I'm really glad for it. It's a lot of work, like you also know.
Oh yeah,
it is. But it's worth it. I've made loads of friends thanks to that, and I've been having a blast ever since. So I think that's my story. At least the gist of it so far.
Yeah, that's really awesome. Thanks for sharing all that. I've resonated with so much. I made a huge amount of notes. There's just so much that I was really resonating with. Just some of especially the talking about your current girlfriend. It's almost like the adjusting. I really wanted to ask you about that because my fiance actually is pretty close to right after we met. She had an experience where there was this being, and she said it felt like something was adjusting her mind. And it's interesting too, because we have a group Discord with a bunch of other experiencers, and she literally mentioned it today. So I it's like that fun little synchronicity, you know what I mean? And she literally mentions she was wondering if out loud whether she was being adjusted to match me. So when you mentioned that, I was like, oh, that's super cool. So I was wondering if you could go a little, if you know a little bit more about this Eve Lorgan and the Love Bite. I'd love to hear more about that.
Well, I haven't read her book. I do want her. I'd love to find out if she's an experiencer or if this is through her various research. And but yes, the thing is, one of the two gets adjusted somehow to be in love with the other for a purpose. So, that's why I tend to tell this to my girlfriend, and she gets pissed because she loves me a lot. I tell her, well, you probably got modified by the grace to love me so much.
Yeah.
No, I love you. It's true. And the thing is, when Cynthia Crawford, when she was still alive, she'd make these whole bunch of these statuettes of grays and whatnot and jewelry. Yeah. And she bought a mantid pendant from her, and as soon as she touched it, that's when she started getting like the vision started, and so that was and she bought this sort of like the head of a bust of a grape.
Yeah.
Pretty big, pretty impressive. And so regarding the evil organ thing, I can't really talk about that. I know a lot of I've had experiencer couples where they met on board craft.
Oh, interesting.
And some of them are still together today.
Yeah.
Interesting. They were on board craft, they were being trained. And like a part of their lives they were separate. They weren't apart, but they found each other eventually.
That's eerily similar. So like when I was 4, that one experience I was telling you about, there was that one girl that was like a little bit older than me, and she was a blonde little girl. After we'd been seeing each other for a while, she showed me her picture of her when she was a child, and I swear it looked exactly like her. And it was even funnier because so she lives in Germany. So she didn't learn English like relatively to before we met, because I don't speak any other language. So thank goodness for that. But in my experience as a child, all the other kids weren't speaking English. So I always found that super fascinating. So that's really interesting. That's super cool.
Yeah, the language thing it's a barrier. I tried to learn Japanese because I wanted to help Japanese folks get their stories more to North America.
Yeah.
But that was like a few months prior to the heart operation, and I had to quit. But I'm trying to get involved and try to meet up more Japanese experiencers and get them to talk. I've had one girl from Hong Kong, and I had a Japanese American on too. I recently got somebody else that might come on, so I'm working on that. And but it's a huge barrier because there's so many like amazing stories. But again, if I only speak 2 languages, so I'm a bit screwed.
Yeah, my daughter's trying to learn Japanese right now, actually on Duolingo. Really? So that's funny. I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit more about starseeds. So that's been a bit of a synchronicity for me for the last 3 weeks. It just seems to keep randomly popping up. It even randomly popped up at work 2 days ago, which is really weird for work because like that normally that never happens. And so that kind of piqued my interest as soon as you said it. So I've never really looked into the starseed thing. So I was wondering if you could elaborate on that, because I feel like you've done quite a bit of research on it.
Yeah, well, the reason why I say that I could be a starseed, like I'm not one to say that, hey, I'm I'm from this planet, here and that.
Yeah.
I don't have any answers. That's why I haven't. People tell me, why haven't you got a book out? You got an interesting story. I don't have any answers to that. So that's one of the reasons why. But
totally understand that.
I remember like a starseed is someone who has a soul that's not from the planet. So the soul came. There was a cry out from the universe, like Mother Earth cried out to the universe. We heard, and we came to the planet to help it. And now the reason why I say this is I had a dream one time that I'm in orbit. I'm looking down towards the planet. I don't know if I'm a craft. I thought I was on the moon.
Okay.
I know beside me, my mom's there. That's why I'm close to her. But beside her, I see my dad, but I know it wasn't my dad. I saw it like it was like a screen image. The energy was off. He felt like more like, and so I'm looking down towards Earth, and the way I'm seeing Earth is, so imagine you're in a yard and you got these clotheslines and you've got these white bed covers floating in the wind. So in between 2 flaps of bed covers, there's a distant, like a sort of like a meter or 2 between flaps. And in between those bed covers moving about, I'm seeing Earth. And to me, that was just a dream until I shared it with Pat Jackson. I had her on my show, she's a like a contactee. She knows a lot. She's amazing, and she was in the, I think, also in the secret space program. Also,
Interesting.
she was also in the police force. So she's got this really cool story worth checking out. And she tells me that was a dream. That was a loading area, a holding area.
Okay.
So my soul was waiting for there to incarnate. Because I remember that we're coming to Earth. We're coming to Earth. Everybody's happy. So that could be, again, like another like contributing factor to the whole starseed thing. Like at one time I went to a healer, like the first few years when I discovered I had rheumatoid arthritis, and he like he would do energy work on me, and he would tell my fiance he's new. They were old souls, but he's new to the planet.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
So yeah. People came from outside just to help the planet through the system.
Yeah.
Through the system. So we're trying to wake people up. So I guess, and strangely enough, I'm not super religious. I was brought up Catholic, so I'd go to church when I was young, when my grandmother was still alive, every weekend, and but I always associated myself with Archangel Gabriel. I don't like to name out archangels because I don't know if they're real. Like, I'm your normal bloke. I don't know anything, but Gabriel's purpose is like he's the messenger. So yeah. I'm the messenger of sorts. I try to help bring whatever message to the people.
Yeah.
Also, when I had Dr. Louis Turi on board, he's a contactee from France, but he lives in the US, and he was on Coast to Coast a few times, and he does predictions. And just before the show, and even during the show, people could watch it if they want. He did a reading for me, and the guy was spot on. Like, my mind was blown. And he said, I was born in July, and so you're a Leo. But if you go back 6 months, you're also like in Pisces, in Aquarius, and yeah. So you're a leader. But what Aquarius? They have these vases. I think that they're horoscope sign. They have these vases, and so they're bringing information. They're bringing stuff from the heavens. So I'm bringing information to the public. Yeah, or something to that extent. And I thought, wow. But I told him, yeah, but I'm an introvert. I hate talking. I'd rather keep to myself. I'm shy. And I said, yeah, but that you've got a purpose. You've got a job to do. So so I've got these sort of little things that help me point towards that. Yeah, I'm here for like a reason.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I resonate with that a lot because I know for myself that I felt like I would have never guessed I was going to start doing this, and that I'd start having my own story out like 2 years ago. I would have never guessed this, but it felt like it was something I was supposed to do, which is still really weird. It's a really weird feeling. I don't know if it's the same for you, because it feels like it's almost like a push from outside. And interestingly enough, my experiences have really died down the last 5 months. Like, it seems like it's really like all of a sudden it was just like it's like I'm by myself, or how I've been describing it lately, and I'll see if this resonates with you. It's kind of like I've been in school like this entire time, and then all of a sudden now I'm on recess. So it's kind of giving me time to integrate and explore these new experiences and stuff without having that guidance and supervision. I don't know if that resonates.
Well, maybe you've had these experiences because it gives you a foundation to educate people, but also that you're on your path, so you don't need that push. If you might deviate from the path, they might come back and push you back.
Yeah, interesting.
For me, it was I talk about this 7 to 8 year hiatus.
Yeah,
and I've heard this a lot. Huge peaks for a few years, and then it drops and it comes back. So that's what happened to me from 2000. So I had the first vision of my brother in 2005. Sorry, 2001, 2002. Then, and from that on, every hour or so, it started to ramp up. And 2012, 2013 was like crazy. And then it started to die down. So I had this sort of like 7 to 8 year peak, and then it stopped for 7 to 8 years. And then I guess it's starting to come back slowly.
So it's like cycles.
Yeah. Did you ever have shadow beings come to you?
Yes.
I was wondering.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've had shadow beings too. Only one. So I was in a pretty dark space mentally. I was really, really struggling mentally. It was probably about 6 months after my NDE. And then, I woke up, and for some reason I woke up, and I looked, and there was only about this much space between the bed and the wall. And there was a being, with a big head, looked pretty much like a gray. But it was interesting you said that. So it was super dark, like blacker than black, like almost like a black hole, but yet I could see through it. It's like a paradox. It was super weird. And then I could see its head move because I had looked at it and I didn't do anything. I just stared. Like, I think I could have moved, but I didn't. I was just kind of like scared spitless, essentially. I was just like, holy fuck. And then it moved its head. It saw or sensed that I was seeing it, and then it just faded back through the wall. Yeah, I've only had that one experience. My grandpa, in his journal, wrote of quite a few shadow being encounters. So he'd walk by a room, and then there'd be like a 6 foot tall one. It sounded pretty similar to how you described them. And then he had ones that were like mine that were small too. Yeah.
Have the dead ever tried to contact you or your family? Past loved ones?
This one, it's kind of, I never dream about, usually, actually, no, now that you say that. So I have two ones. So I have one, my hunting buddy, ended up getting cancer, 2 years ago, and it was super aggressive. And he ended up, dying in November, and I was over in Germany with my fiance visiting her. So I had a dream that I was teaching her how to back up a trailer. So like a camping trailer. And there was my buddy, his truck was watching us, and he really loved his truck. It was like a black Dodge. He loved it. He loved that truck. And he was watching us, and I finished teaching her how to park it. His lights turned on, and I got this feeling from this truck. It's like, bye, but it's only temporary. Like, well, I'll see you again. And then he drove off and into the distance. And so I woke up, and of course, like the time difference is 8 hours. And I woke up, and I said to my fiance, I said, I think Wayne's dead. And so I texted my buddy, and I said, sorry for your loss. And he texted me back. He's like, how did you know? He's like, he just passed. So that was probably one of the more significant experiences for me. And then my other one was, about 8 months ago. I had a dream, and I usually don't dream about my grandfathers. Super rare. And I dreamt that I was going through a field, and there was a bunch of vegetables like turnips and carrots and stuff and potatoes that are ready to be harvested. My grandpa was a farmer, so it kind of made sense. And he was standing there in the middle of the field, and I went up to him, and he gave me a hug. And this was before I even decided to start this. It's interesting that I'm bringing this up now. And he said, you're going to do fine. And then he gave me a hug, and off he went. And it's kind of interesting because now I've done an episode about his journal, which I felt like I was like completing something he always wanted to do, because that's what he wanted. He always wanted to get his story out. But before he died, there wasn't really that many opportunities like there is now. Yeah, it's interesting you brought that up, actually. Yeah. So thank you.
Now, yeah, like in my immediate family on my mother's side, there's a lot of ghost stories too, and But also, I wanted to talk about this: is that the dead can use technology to contact us.
Mm-hmm.
An experiencer friend, abductee friend from Long Island. He's somewhat known on the East Coast in the U.S. His name's Matthew. Now, his mom used to call him Mac when she was still alive. Now, this time, he's on his deck with a whole bunch of friends, and his phone. Not sure if it was a phone or like a cell phone, but at the time, his phone would start ringing. So he picks up the phone and looks at the number that dialed, and you couldn't make heads or tail. It wasn't like a number; it was like a whole bunch of weird numbers and symbols. So he picks up the phone and says hello. And the thing is, when, like I said, she'd call him Mac. Okay, so this female voice says, "I'm okay, Mac," and that was it. So his mom called him up from the dead, and my fiance, she had a first marriage, and the thing is, he died of he had cancer while she was in the UK. She was on the phone with a friend, and this is something I told like a few people, and they were like, "Oh, this is freaky as hell." So she's on the phone with a friend, and the line starts to like static. So they start listening to the static, and then they hear the voice of a young girl say, "Contact established." And then a man starts to speak. It was her dead fiance, or her dead husband.
Oh, wow.
She starts panicking. "I can't handle this. I can't handle this." And she hangs up. Yeah. So, yeah. And I knew that there's other, I've had people on that had something similar happen to them. But I can't remember the story, but yeah. So yeah, ETs can use technology to contact you. Angela, who I heard her on my show twice. She had like magnets stick to her body. She got an amazing story. And her former husband, he had this sort of man garage. The
man cave,
a sofa in the garage, big TV. Yeah. So he was watching, I think, House of all things. So House, or like a hospital type of show, and but anyhow, so during a commercial, now he was recording also the show. So during the commercial, the sound starts to really die down, like slowly. So that got his attention. So he starts listening, and then he hears a voice. "We are not here to harm the humans." So his wife's a contactee/abductee, right? With like a hybrid children. He runs inside the house and tell her the story. So he was recording everything. He replays the event. Nothing went. It wasn't recorded. So that reminded me of the voice in the UK. I think the voice was the hijacking of a radio show or a TV show in the UK. Vrillin.
Yeah.
Brilliant
or something like that. And they were went over top of the TV station. Yeah.
So that made me think of that. So that was like the British, the Brits say bloody amazing. So that, really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, ETs are amazing. Huh?
Yeah. I find it fascinating. It's almost like a spectrum, I guess, of all these different things seem to be of almost the same kind of thing, but just from a different perspective. Like there seems to be like connections with like past like dead relatives, or the starseeds, or the ETs, and archangels. It just seems it's fascinating how they all it's all connected. Like, I have this feeling that it's all connected, and that that possibly that maybe it's the same thing, just manifesting in different ways. It's so hard to know. Like, it's like that's probably one of the best parts about this. Like, once I got over the traumatic side, is that it's the mystery, because you just, who knows if we'll ever figure it out. I find it super fascinating right now.
Well, the Greys, they think that their mission is to give life, to bring life. And so that's why they're master geneticists, and they, out of contactees, when they're on board craft, they do see angelics, light beings. So everybody's working together. So it's not like one race or another, one race is bad. You know, some like could have their own agenda, but you can't blame a Grey for like being afraid of it, or it's not their fault. They don't have any like muscles in the face to smile, so they can't really smile. So everything's telepathic. But it's, when it comes to like contactees, it's complicated. But yeah, we do tend to live like a mishmash of everything. So that's why I was confused, because the ET stuff, I didn't know if was it ghosts that came to me as a kid? Was it ETs? I can't recall. Was it something they took out from my memory? I don't know.
That's fascinating.
It's been a crazy ride.
Yeah, totally. I was going to tell you about, so this one, it was like the last camping trip I had with my ex, and we were sleeping in the tent. And we have like this large trapper's tent, so it's 20 feet by 16 feet. And I woke up, and this Grey walks through the tent, and it's standing right in front of, we have like this wood fire stove in there, so wood stove, and it's standing there, and it's not like any other Grey I'd ever seen. And I had this feeling like I stood up like super fast. I was just in my boxers, and I was like, oh, it's time to go. I was like, sweet. And we went with him. But the weird thing was, so he was a little bit taller than normal, and he had black dreads of hair coming off, which I had never seen before. And he had really big, like normal eyes, if they were really big, and they were super, super blue. So they had like really huge, really huge eyes. So it wasn't the typical like black eyes. And then he also, but he had full emotion and everything. And I had this familiar sense with him. And then that's all I remembered. Woke up the next morning, and I had gotten up once to do the fire. That was all. That was it, because it was pretty cold. And my ex there, she's like, did you get up twice last night? I was like, no. And I didn't tell her about the experience, because we didn't talk about that sort of thing. And in my head, I was like, that was a weird one. And she goes, she's like, no, I'm pretty sure you got up twice. She's like, I know you got up the first time, but that second time, she's like, I'm pretty sure you got up, but I couldn't wake up. I had to like go right back to sleep. So that was interesting. So I've wondered, have you heard of any accounts of a Grey that kind of looks like that? Because other than I've heard it in the Ariel school that had dreads, but I haven't really heard anybody else talk about things like that.
I forgot to say, the wrinkled Grey?
Yeah. That's what I was thinking of when I was talking about that story.
Well, during that event, I'm sleeping. I don't know what's happening, but she was scanning me. But for some reason, I'm able to turn around and look behind her head. But she wasn't. Well, you call it dreads, but to me, that she didn't have hair on top of her head, but just at the back.
Yeah,
and it felt like Celtic interlace. How it was very neatly arranged.
Yeah.
So yeah, that could be that. A story I forgot, and this is also an image I sent you. During the time of where I meditated a lot, one time while I'm sleeping, But this, I wake up, I realize I'm on the floor. I don't see, I think I'm out of body or like an orb. I don't see like my arms are like appendages or whatever. I'm on the floor. I'm in a totally white corridor. You could not see the end of it. Like a small corridor, and I'm only like seeing one side of one of the walls, but on that like the wall to the left of me, I'm seeing doors down the entire corridor. So imagine being in an asylum, small rooms, whole bunch of doors during the entire corridor. And I look in front of me, because I'm on the floor. So I'm looking up. I see this tall gray in front of me. And it's wearing hospital robes. So I reach out. Don't remember seeing an arm, but I reach out. Hey, can you help me? So I stand up, and so I thought, okay, well, it's my height because I'm 6 feet tall. So I look at its face, and I hardly see a mouth. I don't see a nose, but I see these very large tear-shaped eyes, and no hair on top. But again, behind the head, what I call it had hair. The thing is, imagine Einstein. I call it Einstein hair, very unkept, very dense, pointy, like a Japanese cartoon, like Yu-Gi-Oh or something. It felt like very unkept, but very dense. And so I was like, again, he was wearing hospital robes, and I tell him, like, can you give me a tour? And as soon as we start walking, I black out and I wake up the next day. So putting this off as a dream, I'm on Misha Johnson's show. So I tell her the story, and she starts laughing. What you're describing, the hair, is what she called cotton candy hair.
Cotton candy hair.
Cotton candy hair is what the hybrids have.
That's okay. That's what I was going to talk. Because so I got the distinct feeling it was a hybrid, and it was. I hesitate to say it, but related to me.
So she saw cotton candy hair. I saw cotton candy hair, but couldn't put a word to that. So that's why I thought, like, oh, it looks like Einstein-ish, wavy, pointy, unkept. So yeah, that event could have happened because I'm describing something I didn't know they had.
Yeah. So what color of hair was it? Or
it was gray. It was white, gray. Nothing.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, and a friend of mine also had like a dream event where she's like my second mother, and she had the visitation of a gray once. I won't get into too much details for her safety, but one time during like an event where there was a lot of like action going on in the house, she wakes up during the night. She looks around, totally dark. As soon as she closes her eyes, the entire bedroom lights up, and she sees behind her curtains. She sees a man looking at her behind the curtains, and behind the man was a small gray playing peekaboo.
Yeah.
And like the gray was happy, and after that she gets another vision. Now she sees the man with his wife, his daughter which had blonde hair. They're on a cloud. The man was wearing a crown, and on a separate cloud was the small gray. It had beautiful blue eyes. And one story I've been told by a contactee, which I won't name, he said that the grays use the color blue, the spectrum blue, to calm us down. So sometimes if you get a blue light coming to the bedroom, it's to calm us down. So we won't hurt ourselves, we won't hurt them.
That adjustment that I was telling you about for my fiance, she said it was blue. It was a blue being.
Wow. Well,
interesting. Wow. This has been fascinating.
Another story I forgot to tell. when I was with my fiance and we were speaking on the phone. I tell her now I was wondering why I was having these events. Like a lot of the people in the US, they say, well, they've got like either like a military background, military people in the family. To those in Canada, it's not like the same. And so I thought, well, okay, why? Because, like my stuff would happen a lot on my mother's side. And my brother's not an experiencer. My dad's not an experiencer. So am I a soul group with my mom? I don't know. But growing up, my grandmother, when she was still with us, would tell my mom, my mom was a kid also, that her bloodline, my grandmother's bloodline, maiden bloodline, was an important one. But we didn't have Google back in the day, and it's like she thought that her important bloodline was Irish, and because we do have a lot of Irish that came that immigrated to Canada, so she put that off as okay, well, it could be that. So I tell her the name, and my grandmother's maiden name is Aylwin, and she starts laughing. It's like, Aylwins, it's an old family name from the UK, from England. The name appears in the Domesday Book, and the Aylwins were actually nobles. The manor's still up. It's called the Manor of Ellington. When you look into it, it's written that the Aylwins were lords, and they had a seat in the Manor of Ellington. And when you start researching on that bloodline, you realize that names change over the course of centuries, right? Back in the day, people don't know how to read or write, so they would write their names how it was pronounced. But the pronunciations change over time, so the names change. Yeah. The word Aylwin is also associated with the word Elvin, and a whole bunch of variations of that. When you go back, they're all connected to the same bloodline, which is Elfwine, Aelfwine. So this bloodline goes back to the Roman era.
Yeah.
Before Old English, before Anglo-Saxon. But the translation from Anglo-Saxon to English for the word elf wine is the word wine means friend, and the word elf has a few translations: noble, magic, elf, ELF, like the elves we know.
Yep.
So elf friend, magic friend, noble friend. A few years back, I was watching a documentary on the Anunnaki, the Nephilim, the Elohim. And then eventually they get to the term where they talk about the word elf, AELF.
Yeah.
Means the shining ones. So basically my family name means friends of the shining ones. So friends of the gods, basically.
Yeah.
So like my mind was like, that's crazy. So so my ancestors were nobles because they eventually they came to the U.S. and the story goes that they didn't want, during the independence wars with England, with the crown, they didn't want to fight the crown. I guess they still had family, whatever.
Yeah.
So they moved up through the eastern coast, the east coast of the U.S., and they came up to Canada, and they stayed there. So so you got a lot of my story today, brother.
Yeah. Thank you. That was awesome.
So
yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think we should do a part 2 because I'd love to just do a whole thing about the ghost stories and stuff. Okay. The paranormal fascinates me. I don't have a lot with the paranormal, but a lot of my family members do. So it's kind of similar to you, where I've only had like a slight, but a lot of my family members have had quite a bit. So I would love to talk about that because on my dad's side, it's a lot more of the the woo, like the spiritual woo side, like tarot and that sort of thing. But then on my mom's side is the more the ET sort of thing. So I think I'd love to talk to you about that because yeah, I think that would be super fun.
Let's do it.
Yeah. I really appreciate you coming on. I think everyone should check out your channel. You have some amazing interviews, and I'm super happy I got to meet you and that we've been able to chat. Is there anything, some last words that you'd like to say?
Sure. Well, if some of you guys watching, you're on the fence about talking about your experiences, start slowly. Find somebody that you could share it with, and eventually try to get your story out there. Try to do it in a safe manner, because some of your stories are really like out there, and you don't want any like troubles to come to you. But if you're in a safe place, try to get it out, because your story changes the world. So all the experiences out there, contactees, abductees, you're in a position to bring about change to help the world. We've like our society's been controlled for eons, and it's time to change the to our side, really.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I literally have been thinking about these waves, and that there's going to be a new wave of experiencers coming out, which is including myself and everything. And all I know is that the more we share, the easier it is to heal. And I know for myself, for my own healing journey, listening to others' experiences is what helped me pretty much. It's like at the top of the list of what's helped me be okay with what I was experiencing. So yeah, so your show is helping immensely. You're a big part of this wave and changing, and I'm so glad that you keep doing this, and I'm excited to see what else you do. So I hope everyone goes and checks out Mr. Gray, and I'll leave all the information where to find him on the show notes below. I couldn't endorse you more. I think you're awesome. So thank you so much for coming on, and I hope everyone else has a great week, and thank you so much.